share. Pick up the phone, turn it up. Real FM, ride the frequency. Talking truth, talking change, talking all that's real. With Francis Pierre at the wheel. Politics to faith, the latest trend.
Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. Remember, the number to call is 442-0175. A lot of interesting and important topics all over the world, and particularly in Grenada here, that affects us. And we must always prepare to discuss the issues. We must always prepare to be tolerant. And we must respect people's opinion, even if we don't agree with it. We must respect it. And you could point out, provide information that may cause them to change their opinion. So if you don't agree with a man's opinion, his opinion may be based upon the information that he has. So it may be a good thing to provide more information for him. Credible, convincing, unchallengeable information. We express our opinion all the time. We provide the information that we have, and we dare and we challenge those in authority to take us on. A small country like Grenada and small countries as the Caribbean, they must be very careful what path they track. One have to look at your economy. And I've said it before, umpteen times, but I'll say it again. Our economy is principally based upon the fact that the St. George's University and its activities contribute more than 20% of the GDP. That is significant. We depend quite a lot on tourism. And our tourist trade is dominated by the United States of America and Europe. We depend a lot on remittance. Our brothers and sisters and family members and friends in the diaspora sending money to us. We depend on the sailor passport, gratis, the United States of America. And we export agriculture products to the US. Vis-a-vis fish, soursop, and about 20 other agriculture products we can export to the US, but we don't have enough in quantity. So when our politicians open their big mouth, we must ask them, you have your ideological perspective. Is it compatible with the economic realities? You see, there are two big powers in the world, capitalism and communism. Capitalism led by the Americans and communism led by the Russians and Chinese. That's the two basic economic ideology and philosophy in the world. We in a small country like Grenada and the rest of the Caribbean have to be tactful, diplomatic, wise. We must not drink bush for people fever. And we'll have to learn how to demele and trocasse between the superpowers. We could be pawns in the game. We could face a lot of collateral damage. So we must be tactful. Sometimes we can't call a spade if they want us to call it a shovel. Better we don't show what it is. Because you could be bruised and marred and seriously demolished and destroyed if you don't learn to démêler and advocacy. And we have to ensure that our leaders understand that. Otherwise, they will cause more hurt than good. Grenada seems to have a lot of leaders who like communism. There is no perfect system. So communism is not a perfect system. And capitalism is not a perfect system. But there are a lot of different attractive points in both systems. And if you could come up with a system that you could function effectively without unduly annoying the superpowers, better for you. But we have not done that in Grenada. We have had the issue with the 1979-1983 period when Grenada was known globally for beating the chest. We want to take on the Great America. No Westminster type of democracy again. We want to consider jump on the side that call United States the Great Satan. And while we are doing that, the economic reality is that we are practically tied up with the United States and Europe. So that will make sense. Maurice Bishop found out that too late. By that time, the students of Marxist-Leninism was fully convinced that they have to go further to the left to survive, because they did not agree with Castro. They say Castro preaching one-manism and Bishop following it. So there was more communists than Castro. They call Maurice Bishop a petty bourgeois, a womanizer, and they say lazy. We must understand these things. If we don't, we are already heading the same direction. The extremists in Grenada is on the rampage. Deacon Mitchell has opened the door for them. They smell blood. And they believe they have an opportunity to gain victory. They would not tell you what they stand for because they're going to reject them. So they're using all sorts of unorthodox method and riding on any cause they could get to get into power. Now, why Grenadians are advocating and want to support confrontational politics with the US? Yes, caller, welcome.
I am the voice of one crying in the wilderness, Senior.
We need to cry out.
How do you do?
Great, man.
Senior, what I am seeing, you started on a very, very good note. And I am very much concerned as a citizen of Grenada, Carriacou, Martinique, as it relates to the present situation in United States versus Grenada in particular. And it's not really looking good for us. I think that we are going down a very slippery slope. And if we don't turn back, by the time this Prime Minister gets out of office, he'll be about a multi-billionaire and leave all the poor people stranded. As far as I'm seeing here, Senior, it appears to me that the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, knows certain places that Deacon Mitchell is going, and we don't know. And when you look at it, Grenada is targeted very hard as it relates to the visit taken from Mr. Cornwall. When we believe was Mr. Cornwall alone that would have faced the blunt so far. But it takes effect on every Grenadian. I have some friends who went to get the visa and they turned them down. What wrong has they done? I believe presently right now that, in certain corners of Grenada, and you hear people speaking about the revolution coming back. I mean, I doubt that that will ever happen based on the time that we are living in. But presently, right now, is the poor people of Grenada right now that is suffering. Right now, we getting information that the time will come when our fish will not be accepted in the United States of America. What a blow for our fishermen. And people cannot get visa to go. That's a major blow. Then our fishing industries is facing a serious problem. And you know what? I do not really understand. Grenadian, hear me out, man. What I do not really understand, with all the situation that we are facing, we have a prime minister that is not speaking to the people. Mr. Prime Minister, yes, you said that information is on a need to know, but we not knowing nothing. Can you come out and explain to Grenada what is the present situation as it relates to the 9 Grenadians of a visa, and also presently right now, our hard-working fishermen who is fishing all their life. The time will come when it don't start, if it don't start yet, that we will not be able to export fish to the United States of America. We do not have no vast factory here to manufacture nothing. But what I do not understand, sir, in all what is happening, you are not saying nothing to the Grenadian people. You're not coming out in a press conference. The last time they asked you a question in an interview, what do you think as the Prime Minister of Grenada? America in the waters, the Caribbean waters, you said you have no comment. The minute time you say you have no comment, which means that Trump know that you disagree a long time. Grenada is in a state, Mr. Prime Minister. The country is about to hit an iceberg. But you're not coming out and say in what way we can be able to cushion the effect of the visit. In what way we can be able to help the fishermen. Mr. Prime Minister, right now there is a lot of children that cannot afford to, they could not have go to school Monday. And that is not a lie. Do the maths. Mr. Prime Minister, I need you to walk the ground. Walk the street of St. George's. When you finish down the come in Grenville, go in Sotes, walk on the ground, and hear the cries of the poor people. Mr. Prime Minister, you was elected to lead, but in my opinion, you don't care. Mr. Prime Minister, our health care is in a bad situation. Mr. Prime Minister, those you sit down and listen to the obituaries, the death news, so many people are dying. The doctors cannot speak. The nurses cannot speak. So I could speak for them. I have doctors working at the hospital. I have friends working there. Mr. Prime Minister, the situation in Grenada is bad. Our economy has sunk. What are you doing, sir? Mr. Prime Minister, if you know that you cannot run this country, please speak to the Governor General, dissolve Parliament, and set a date for general election. We cannot continue in that manner. It's bad. There is no job. It's bad. There are children that are still home. It's bad. Do the poor people a favor, Mr. Prime Minister. Put some people out. The bushing program. Grenadian, as I rest my case here,
Yeah.
are we better off now than before?
Some
It's
people
sad.
are.
It's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad. Take your senior. It's sad.
But in all fairness to the government, they campaign against debushing. They campaign against the debushing program. They say that program making people lazy, and they campaign against it. So the people was well aware that once the NDC come, the pushing program going to go. And the government has, if you remember, the government gave a tax break to some people. So while some people will be happy with the government because they have been benefiting immensely, while the government has attacked others, some would be happy, some would not be. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Yes, Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Yes.
A while ago, you were dealing with that issue of the resurgence of the communist elements in this country. I could tell you safely that these people have never given up on the idea of community power in this country. After the failed attempt in 1983, they hide their head in shame for a while until around 2000, 2001, thereabouts, they started organizing again, seriously. They had meetings being held about the place. I mean, call it secret meetings. It's in-house meeting, not no public meeting. The last meeting that was held, I'm quoting a statement that was made in that meeting. The statement says, if we go to the people, we know the people will not accept us. Let us go and take over the NDC. And the propaganda started spreading around this country. By 2001, 2002, they were in heat. They took over the NDC. I was out of the country for most of the time after that, because I left Grenada in 2003, back in 2012. When I came back in 2012, I had a conversation with a leading member of that organization for all the years, well, especially during when they was in power, 2008, 2012. The breakup happened in 2000, just around the time I came back. And he said to me, I'm talking about a leading, well, he might have been the main strategist for that party or for the process at the time. And he said to me, so what you see happening there this time around is no different from 1983, It's only this time around these guys didn't pull gun. That's exactly what he said to me in 2012. They hide their face in shame again. And they are trying to research. Well, Kit Mitchell made the mistake of accepting them inside of the NNP. They were hoping to take over again. They didn't succeed. And I warn people. I say it all the time. I say it on the radio. I say it to people in one-on-one discussion or in crowd discussion that if Peter David was to come back and was to come in power, not come back, sorry, become the prime minister of this country, whilst Bernard Code is alive, Bernard Code will be the one running this country. I declare that every day, and I know exactly what I'm talking about. Mr. Pierre,
Right.
there's that group called OL that Bernard Code established inside of the NGM. I was a leading member of the NGM. I was not just a supporter, I was an insider. And the group called OL was organized inside of the NGM. And that's what happened when that's what brought about the takeover or the killing of Bishop and everything, because they were hoping to have the way and not the original concept of the NGM.
Right.
One of the things that I always point out to people, and Bishop made a serious mistake. So he backfired on him. He went against the motto of the party, the NGM party, which said, let those who labor hold the rain. All those
Yes,
Taliban
scholar.
took over the country, especially the guys from Chivoli and so on, all of them ended up in jail. So you are surrounded by Africa, hypocrites, backstabbers, which was controlled by Donald Code, and Donald Code never give up. He's always using his crony, and his main point man in this country, I could tell people safely, is Peter David. That's his
Okay,
main
caller.
point man.
Yeah.
Take care, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, thank you. So, as a country, yes, scholar, welcome.
Good
Yes, scholar, welcome.
evening, listener. Um, I just joined you. But I heard one of you call, Pastor Lewis. I wish I could have shake your hand. You make some valid point, which I wanted to make, but you already pick out. But I still could say something quickly. Um, because I've been advocating to Grenadians of the danger we are facing. My last statement was on the amount of fuss this government create in the history of Grenadian politics. I missed out one.
So you adding it
There
now.
has been the first government in the history of this country since 1967 to have so much corruption, and they take it as a joke. Corruption become a joke to this government. They're not even serious about it. Then, Mr. Pierre, this government, even some of the parliamentarians with the leader, have no respect for the electorate of this country. When you go to Carrico, the representative of Carrico have no respect for the people of Carrico. And I know Carrico people is watching him because I used to be up there once. The leader have no respect for the people. This is why he's not giving us accountability of what is going on, because you don't respect Grenadians. This is the worst, and I keep reminding Grenadians, let us prepare. This government this country need leadership. You don't need excuse. The NDC government is out of ideas, out of time. We need leader to deliver result, not broken promises. So then we have enough evidence to do sadly as what the people of Jamaica has just done. Grenadians, I'm warning you. Look at the suffering of the children in school. I could remember when I used to be in government, the office jam, we tired giving out vouchers to the children because we don't care who is green, we don't care who is yellow, we just giving vouchers. The people should be able to remember that. I don't think they should forget it. And by now, my area alone have 7 gangs around this
But in all fairness,
August month.
the government campaign,
6,000 people. 6,000 people is on the road. So you should realize that is a government of vision. People of Grenada, I'm warning you. I rest my case, Mr. Vic. Thank you.
yes, you always have to remember the government campaign against this road work. So the people who are benefiting from it on the road, you went and voted a government that campaigned against it. And that's why I always argue that you must know what the representatives stand for. So for instance, perhaps almost 3 years now, I've been going after the Minister of Foreign Affairs. I even say he was a mama pool. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre,
Go right ahead, caller.
good afternoon, sir. Mr. Pierre, you have a lot of work in a lot of young people. I don't believe we paying no mortgage, we don't paying bill, we don't pay All of us sit down on the block, waiting on we parents to do things for us. Because if the people sit down on the block and they know month end coming and they have to pay their bill, they go see where the government doing the wrong. On Facebook, they're saying who going back in office, and they say NDC going back in office, young people, you know. So this is what I was saying now. You can say you're buying newspaper today because the newspaper don't say nothing good about, no bad thing about the government today. I bet you if it was Dr. Mitchell, all kind of thing they on the paper, they know how either newspaper selling in power. So, Mr. Pierre, the kind of things are listening. Trust me, the kind of thing I listening, I don't understand why the young people and them don't have a job. They don't see money and they're sitting down saying this government coming back in power.
You have to understand the NDC is very good on the social media and they dominates it. And the NNP is very weak on social media. They have been so in the last election. They're extremely weak on social media and they have not changed their attitude. They're still weak on social media.
But I was still saying that they talk about who said they want permanent, who said they talk about raise a pay. They're doing the little work on the road and they still not getting the $60. So I don't understand why they have sitting down, listening this government lie. You don't lying again, you don't telling them nothing again, you know. You buying them for 50 silver. You don't lying again. All you need is just buying all of them.
All right, Carl, thank you.
All right, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, the whole political machinery now is more than terrestrial radio. It is on Facebook, Twitter, and etc. And some of the younger people tend to follow social media rather than listen to talk shows. They don't have time to listen to talk shows. And the NNP seems to be very weak on social media. So that is a challenge where the NNP have to get in rhythm with things. But we have a situation in the Caribbean that growing here where Grenada seems to be more and more in confrontational politics with the United States of America. And I'm asking, who benefit it is? Our leaders in Grenada should know. And we cannot blame the leaders alone, you know. Because Grenadians selected a group of political neophytes that they did not know. A number of people did not know Mr. Andal. I believe Mr. Andal ran for election before. Somebody could correct me. I'm not absolutely certain. In 1984, I believe Mr. Andal ran for election. But other than that, a number of people don't know much about him. I have always worried that Mr. Andal is too angry and bitter, as if he has an axe to grind. And then when I see his performance as a Minister of Foreign Affairs, I suggested that he should be sent to education. On paper, I would have selected him for Foreign Affairs. But after a couple months in that office, I realized the combination of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Joseph Andal, and the de facto Foreign Affairs Minister, Dickel Mitchell, going to cause untold damage to this country. What they sow, they reap now. The old people tell you, don't drink bush for people fever. These individuals forget that it was representing Grenada, and they start behaving as if they're seeking their own personal interests. Grenada depends on the United States to export principally soursop and fish. In fact, Grenada is the only country in the region that can export fresh soursop to the US market. MNIB purchased over 100,000 pounds of soursop and sacrificed it to convince the United States that our soursop is free from the negatives they don't want in the country. And that is why Grenada is the only country in the region that can sell fresh soursop to the US. Brazil and Mexico and other countries sell pulp. And we cannot send pulp with them. These are vast countries. So we have a niche market in the United States that we cannot satisfy. We are one of the only countries in the region that could sell fresh fish to the US market. And soursop and fish brings in a tidy sum to the Grenadian coffers, including St. George's University, remittance from our people in the diaspora, tourism, and the sale of passport. So when our political leaders jumping up, now better they start to export fish to Africa and China and Russia. It's an important thing to ask Deacon and this bunch of neophytes what product they intend to export to Africa in the next 5 years. You see, Kit Mitchell, Dr. Kit Mitchell, Stone, he has shown Grenadian that you could function with the United States, Russia, and China, and you don't unduly offend anyone. It was Dr. Kit Mitchell who re-established relationship with Cuba. At that time, Cuba used to be objecting to us, and they did not recognize Grenada on the international market. Dr. Kit Mitchell went to Cuba, and he did not anger the Americans. But these jokers we have here now, they have an axe to grind, and they're in direct confrontation with the United States of America for their personal reasons. Their personal reasons. And it's only because they're immature. That is why I continue to say we are responsible too, not them alone. We voted political neophytes inside. And that is the result. When you take incompetent people that is arrogant and disrespectful and put them to run country. So the United States have removed visa, I think, from one or two of them. And it seems now, I'm hearing, I don't know how true it is, there is a possibility that we will lose our privilege. And it's a privilege. It's not a right to export fish to the US market. The guys who are exporting soursop, I would not like to see their face now. And I don't think the government met with them once in the last 3+ years. The government has refused to meet with the source of exporters in the last 36 months. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, Mr. P. Good afternoon again. I heard what Mr. Lewis said earlier on, and he said it well. Everything that he said it well. But I'll tell him this. It is very difficult right now for the Prime Minister to listen to him, for sure the Prime Minister would not be hearing him, because maybe whilst he was talking there, the Prime Minister was busy putting on his socks and his shoes because he's heading out today, once again, out of the country. This time he's going to Ethiopia. So, Mr. Lewis should understand that the Prime Minister might not listen to him for 1 second. But he need to. He need to listen to him, or at least him and others like him. I made mention of certain things earlier on, Mr. Pierre, and something I should have added, and it is remiss of me for a long time. It has been remiss of me for a long time. And as much as I've been critical of Tillman Thomas for all the years, and I know he's angry with me because of something I'm responsible for.
Let's go.
I'm investigating that $50,000 that he got. I was the PRO for the Grenada Total Organization at the time, and it was my duty to investigate and find out everything about that $50,000 that was sent to him from the British Virgin Islands. And it was suspected that the money came from our organization. That's the reason I was investigating the whole thing, or have been investigating the whole thing. But Tillman Thomas saved Grenadians from these guys and them. And I've never given kudos publicly like that. I talked to people about it other times, but I've never said it openly in the radio like that. Thanks to Tillman Thomas that we have been saved from these guys and them. The guys oral, the guys who a lot of people are afraid of taking over this country again. I don't see it happening. It's almost impractical. But Mr. Pierre, the issue relating to that new law that the government wants to bring in, that I describe as redefining slavery. The NP had a meeting last night in Victoria, and I heard excerpts from the meeting on the news earlier on, in which Miss Pierre did a very good explanation or presentation of what the issue really is about. And people need to listen to this thing. It's a serious, serious issue. Mr. Pierre, this issue is tied with the Prime Minister made a statement some time ago that it is tied to some project. The name of the project keeps slipping me. But Mr. Pierre, when you hear these kind of statements, it is similar to what the tomorrow argument thing is about, or these such things, where you have to fall in line with international set by organization issues, international issues set, so you have to fall in line with them. That's what the whole issue here is about them. So if Grenada doesn't fall in line, we are, is in a sense left behind. Hello, our society is our society. We just not have to adhere to all that the world say that we have to do. And people need to follow this whole issue thoroughly. It's a serious, serious issue. But it would be nice if you could get Miss Pierre, or maybe as the spokesman for the party.
Color politicians don't too like to come on my program. You know. I told you that already.
Right?
And my program is about an hour, and politicians don't too like to come on my program because I ask questions.
Just like I am calling. They could call just like I am calling, and anybody else is calling.
All right, thank you.
They can give an explanation or something.
Okay, caller.
Take care, sir. All right.
Yeah. You see, our public have to know what you're doing. When we speak in and you hear how we speak in the country and we raise issues and we want to encourage people to go after the big issues, don't get sidetracked. When you choose Dick Mitchell You realize Deacon lying. You realize Deacon is the corrupter in chief. You see Deacon is the master deceiver. He behaving like poor people terrorists. What else you expect? What else you expect? He is extremely disrespectful and he believes some Grenadians is classless and commoners. There has been using all sort of unorthodox method to try to stifle those of us who dare ask questions. Whether it is Jenny Simon, Real FM, Sheldon Scott, or Francis Pierre. That is the government you have. Could you blame them alone? No. The public, we Grenadians, have some blame too. Over the last 2 terms of the NNP, they tried. This is the best attempt at governance I saw. They interacted with the public on a regular basis, answer questions, and I think they live frugal lives. Now we have a greedy group of people that is corrupt. The corruption is all over the country. Whether it's the Grenada Development Bank, the National Lottery, Government Concrete, the 50 million that they budgeted for Grenada 50 years, even Scholar Ballot, they tell him they'll give him 50,000, they give him 15. Maybe they compensate for it after. 118 million was there after the Hurricane Beryl. We hear how much millions of dollars that went in the hand of Andy. Deacon corrupt the Public Service Commission. They call public officers and insist that they resign because they're no longer compatible with the wishes of the government. I never heard that in my life. You saw how the NDC attacked by the 5th of July people in the lower income group who work with government. You saw those things. We hear stories, according to the Minister of Finance, ashamed to talk about it. They're building a little boathouse. One man get a contract for 20,000 to put the board. A next man get a contract to put the electricity. I don't know for how much. A next man get a contract to do the plumbing. A next man a contract to paint. And the house can finish. I have never heard that in my whole lifetime. You see the extravagance and the gala life. One minister traveling Chibo. She said, well, Deacon was traveling these too. The Prime Minister of Grenada, and I heard it on social media, so I stand to be corrected, was given 1,000 cricket kits by his sugar daddy. 1,000 cricket kits. Well, if you give the Prime Minister 1,000 cricket kits, the Prime Minister can't take it for itself. The Prime Minister have to go to the Integrity Commission and say, I was given 1,000 cricket kits by me sugar daddy. And the Prime Minister have to hand over those kits to a relatively independent source in Grenada. The Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Sports, or I think it's the Teachers Union that has organized primary school sports. I'm not certain. You have to give it to them. He cannot take the 1,000 cricket kits and bring it in St. David's. That would be an act of gross corruption and bribery. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Yes, caller.
Mr. Pierre, did you on the radio when the man distributed the chicken for them people in St. David?
He cannot do that, caller. He's wrong.
Well, he asked why for St. David.
He cannot do that, caller.
He asked
That,
why.
caller, that is an act of bribery. The Prime Minister cannot go and get 1,000 cricket kits for his constituency.
Why?
He have,
Why? Why can't you tell me why?
I'm trying to tell you, you know. Well, listen, let me tell you, caller.
Don't tell me why.
Well, you tell you why.
They asking to surprise
Caller,
my community.
caller,
And he asked for that.
caller, the Prime Minister. Caller, this is unethical.
Why don't it
That is the action of a corrupt individual.
corrupt?
You have to give it to it.
Yeah, anybody corrupt as the NMP people?
Yeah, you can.
This man was squander was $17 million in the marketing board. That's high class corruption, Mr. Pierre.
Caller, sorry, are you just tricking Dick? What you all doing there is setting up Dick. What you all doing is setting up Deacon. Deacon is a liar. And Deacon know that is corruption. If the Prime Minister go away and he receive a gift of this magnitude, he cannot take it for himself. He have to come back and report it to the Integrity Commission. And he could say to them, I would like you to go to the Ministry of Sports or the Ministry of Education. He cannot take the 1,000 cricket kits and use in his constituency. That is an act of corruption. So it means I am asking what the Prime Minister giving for that. When we heard the Prime Minister receive a gift in excess of 30,000 US, we objected to that. We asked for more information. He did not give us. And it do not appear that he surrendered the gift to the Integrity Commission. And the Integrity Commission have to be corrupted not to investigate the Prime Minister. Your Prime Minister nobody can give the Prime Minister a car. The Prime Minister could come back and say the government of China gave the Ministry of Education a car. The Ministry of Finance. But I can't give the minister. Otherwise, the minister have to surrender the car. And he could say, well, the Ministry of Agriculture have a project and he really need it, so we could give the car to the Ministry of Agriculture. And the Integrity Commission is supposed to agree. That is common thieving. How we could reach there? How in God's name we could support the Prime Minister of Grenada to be so corrupt? That is corruption. I don't know what in a cricket kit, but I want to assume is a bat, one bat, a pair of gloves, a pair of pad. At least these three basic things may make up a cricket kit. You may have a ball's guard in it, or you may have a guard for the Sansan. But I don't know. So let us suppose it's a bat, a pair of pad, and a pair of gloves. The Prime Minister got 1,000 of these. He cannot keep it for his constituency. First of all, you have to report it to the Integrity Commission. And he could say, I would like to give it to the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Sports. I think the Teachers Union is the one that organizing primary school sports. So the schools in St. David's will be benefited. But the Prime Minister cannot take it and personally distribute it for itself. And if you don't think it's corruption, go and ask Richard Duncan. One of the journalists asked Richard Duncan if in his opinion that is not corruption. Or ask Roy Roberts. Or ask William Joseph. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, Mr. Pierre. I totally support what you're saying there and believe it's corruption. I am in full support of what you just said. Any gift given to the Prime Minister must be for the state of Grenada. He represents the state when he travels. And 1,000 cricket years kit cannot be given for one constituency. 1,000 cannot be given for one constituency. So something is wrong there. But again, Mr. Pay, come back to what I said. Who is investigating? You have the integrity in public life. What happened? The Prime Minister said, when the people of Carrico complain, what he said?
Go to court.
They could go to court. They could take the matter to court they want. It's just up five people. Nobody. Where is the union? Where is the opposition?
Well, the opposition could ask questions, but they're not answering questions in parliament.
Well, that is true.
But when the public have to demand, it means that our institutions are corrupted. The integrity in commission, that's the purpose of them.
Yes, Mr.
They have to investigate the Prime Minister.
Mr. Richard Duncan gave back his gift.
10,000 and a bottle of wine, I think.
Yeah.
He give it back. Well, that 1,000 kit must be more than $10,000.
Right, so that should set the example. But nobody, who is going to who is going to bail the cat? Nobody.
Well, who do it? Who bailing the cat on the radio?
Well, yes, but that is low to the.
We start to bail the cat. What we need is support.
I agree.
The Prime Minister, it was said that the Prime Minister got a gift in excess of 30,000 US. We call that he turned it over to the Integrity Commission. And that is those gifts we know, you know.
Well, let us think. Since the Prime Minister set up the new Integrity Public Commission, we have never heard, the public have never heard that they met and dealt with no matter.
Well, I ask you how much money they getting you.
They have never met, and we have never been told that they met and dealt with one matter. And again, who is investigating, we don't know. Right? So when I said it, if I say the primes are popular, people vex. But the fact remains, things are happening, and nobody seems to be questioning the primes.
What do you mean nobody questioning when we asking questions all the time?
Well, they see us as nobody.
No. They listen to us. What we need to do is to have more people supporting us.
Well,
we need more people to subscribe to our program, like our program, and share our program.
I agree with you again.
That is what we need.
But you see, a lot talking.
Well, we
only talking when it benefit them.
Yes, but Jenny Simon is speaking.
Yes.
They use drones to intimidate Jenny. They try to financially strangulate Andre and Real FM. So they listen to us. They're cognizant of the impact and the effect of our voice. What we want is more people.
Go come and come listen. You see what happens in Jamaica?
The JLP still win. They win 34 seats, but they corrupt. I wanted them to lose election for corruption. But they win. They had a better campaign than PNM, and PNM was there too long playing the fool.
And you hear what the Prime Minister say? Nobody can stop him.
So that is just political.
Right.
He show a lack of humility in him. He should thank those for winning and say he understand that some people turn against him, but he will reach out to satisfy them. He is not humble. That's why I want him to lose election by win. We in a democracy responsible for those who lead in us.
What good
And I pointed out that the way Deacon going there, we helping to make another evil creature in Grenada. Deacon is corrupt.
I agree.
You got 1,000 cricket kids. And those shame, you know. And I mean those ministers with him is real dodoy.
Well, if I tell you in the parliament, and I tell you, Mr. Pierre, I tell you, I spoke to Jonathan and I told him, I say, you bad down, you wicked. I told him that in a shop, in a mechanic shop in Guam.
I lose faith in Jonathan.
I say, you bad down, you wicked.
Since Dayton was on the stage.
People who were not in the cabinet knew that you was going home before you. How can he come out openly and say he knew that he was going home? But the Prime Minister tell us he alone not making decisions.
Prime Minister
and he go to the Governor General. That's what the Prime Minister tell us.
Yeah. Yes, scholar. We're rounding up, and that is our last scholar for the day. You see, we is responsible for the quality of the politicians we have. We are responsible. When somebody put up to represent you, they didn't go to represent themselves. They come to you and say, we will represent the interests of the people. They may campaign with a political party because they are comfortable with the dreams, the aspirations, the philosophy of that political party. And if they take your vote and they turn against you without consultation, that's a traitor. That's a traitor of the worst kind. The Prime Minister is telling lies as if lies now is part of the Prime Minister philosophy. That is why when you're young, people say, this boy lying as when horse trotted. The Prime Minister is corrupt. The Prime Minister cannot receive gifts and keep the gifts for himself. He have to surrender the gifts he received to the Integrity Commission. He could give explanation and say it is cricket gears, and I would like it to go to the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Sports. I think it's the teachers' union that organized the primary school sports. And I have 5 schools in St. David's. Then he could speak to them and say, I have 5 schools in St. David's. But the Prime Minister cannot take those gifts and go and give out for himself. That is bribery. The Prime Minister have to tell the public what is the value of the gifts that he received from the big company. We understand it's over 30,000 US. And then we hear that the Prime Minister provide concession for that said company to the extent that he provides some inconveniences on the post Christmas time. That is bribery. There is so much acts of corruption in this country that the time has come for us to pay attention to it. Then we hear about the hospital corruption. You don't know what this Prime Minister is telling. And when he speaks, you have to take it with a whole pound of salt. And we want to be thankful for you participating in the program. The way you could help us is to subscribe to Real FM, like the program, share the program. Thank you very much.
91.9 and 91.5 Real FM, ride the frequency. Talking truth, talking change, talking all that's real.